Okay, invisible children abuse in families in America. This one here, it starts out with a graph that shows you that under the age of one, um, we have a 24.2 per thousand children that are maltreatment or die from abuse. As you can see, it gradually trails off to where there are about 3.5 children that are abused per thousand that are age 17 or over. Nationally, over 7 million children come to the attention of Child Protective Services every year, according to the Child Bureau in 2015 report. That's probably a little bit higher nowadays. 37% of American children are reported to Child Protective Services by their 18th birthday. African American children are reported at 54%. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before they turn 18 years old. 34% of people who sexually abuse a child are family members. Then we have 3% of girls were age 10 or younger at the first time of their first rape or victimization, and 30% of the girls were between the ages of 11 and 17. 96% of people who sexually abuse children are male, and 76.8% of the people who sexually abuse children are adults. 325,000 children are at risk of becoming victims of commercial child sexual exploitation each year. The average age at which a girl first becomes a victim of prostitution is 12 to 14 years of age, and the average age of a boy is 11 to 13 years of age. 4 million children receive prevention and post-response services. That's pretty dang high. Highest rate of child abuse is child under 1, 24.2 per thousand. 80% of the child fatalities involve at least one parent. Estimated that between 50 and 60% of maltreatment fatalities are not recorded on the death certificate. National child abuse statistics: 4 million children maltreated, referral reports received. 207,000 children received foster care. 3% of the victims are neglected, 2% are physically abused, 4% are sexually abused, and 9% are psychologically abused. Over 1/4, 27% of the victims are younger than 3 years of age. 9% of the child abuse victims die from neglect. 9% of child abuse victims die from physical abuse, and 4% die from child abuse are under the age of 1. More than 90% of juvenile sexual abuse cases, victims know their perpetrator. Child abuse crosses all social, economic, and educational levels, religion, ethnic, and cultural groups. So it affects us all. Child abuse and alcohol abuse, substance abuse. 1/3 to 2/3 of the child maltreatment cases involve substances use of some degree. In one study, children whose parents abuse alcohol and other drugs were 3 times more likely to be abused and more than 4 times more likely to be neglected than children from non-abused families. 2/3 of the people in treatment for drug abuse report being abused as or neglected as a child. More than 1/3 of adolescents with a report of abuse or neglect will have a substance use disorder before their 18th birthday, 3 times as likely as those who without a report of abuse and substance. When I was here a couple years ago, we had a case that came in. A lady had been arrested for DWI, put in jail. She didn't volunteer any information to the police officers. The apartment building that she lived in was up in Auburn, and she had been arrested in Tacoma. The apartment building manager got a call from one of the neighbors saying that a child was walking around, a little child, 3 to 4 years old, asking for food. They reported it to CPS. They went and found a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and an infant that was living in squalor. The 3 to 4-year-old was trying to do the best that she could. She was changing diapers. There was feces all over the room, and the mother was brought up on charges. So I mean, it does happen locally. All right, so we have to pay attention to this. Like I mentioned before, nurses are mandatory reporters. You have to. It's not that you have the option of reporting a suspected child abuse case, but take it up to your charge nurse or somebody else, okay? 3% to 15% of children have a parent caregiver alcohol abuse risk factors. 4 to 33% of children have a parent caregiver drug abuse risk factor, and 0 to 33% of children have domestic violence abuse risk factors. Guns kill or injure a child or teen every half hour, and that's getting worse. In 2010, 2,694 children and teens were killed by guns, and 15,576 were injured by guns. Guns killed more infants, toddlers, and preschoolers than law enforcement officers in the line of duty. U.S. children and teens are 17 times more likely to die from gun violence than their peers in 25 other high-income countries. Each day in America, 1 child is killed by abuse or neglect. 2 children or teens are killed by guns. 4 children or teens commit suicide, and 15 children or teens die from accidents. 30 babies die before their first birthday. 88 children are arrested for violent crimes. 303 children are arrested for drug crimes. 331 babies are born to teen mothers. 345 babies are born in extreme poverty. 404 public school students are corporally punished. 407 babies are born at low birth weights. 633 babies are born without health insurance, and 737 babies are born into poverty. 805 are confirmed as abuse or neglect. 1,066 high school students drop out. 1,718 babies are born to unmarried mothers. 2,645 children are arrested. 5,233 public school students are suspended based on 180 school days per year. 13 each day in America for Hispanic children. 1 child is killed by abuse or neglect. This is the video that I want you to watch after we're done. Okay? Thank you for listening. Hope it's not too depressing, but it is something you need to know about. So I will see you. Be safe. I'll see you when I see you. Bye.